Hey, it's Russ and Lauren right here on the Infectious Groove Music channel on YouTube. And I did a video like this a while back about, and the one I did was by request. Somebody said, hey, what are some artists you think we should have heard more from, whether it was through tragic ending or like they only ever had one hit or whatever. Like, do you think artists we should have heard more from? So we haven't visited that topic in a while on the channel. And I don't know why, but randomly the other day, I was like, wait a minute. I bet Lauren has a list of people that we should have heard more from. And I think when we talked about this initially, it's really hard not to just be like, oh, well, they died young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we don't know with a lot of people. But I think you came up with a good mix of a list.
Thank you. The first one, and when you asked me about this artist was the first one that popped into my head.
Yeah, I feel it was within like seconds.
I was like, oh, I got this. Yeah. Minnie Riperton. Okay. First of all, her vocal range, she was Mariah before Mariah. Okay. And she kind of laid the groundwork for that kind of a singer. And cancer just took her way, way too young, but she fought through so much and was still performing until like weeks before she passed away.
Yeah.
And if you look on YouTube for the final performance of "Lovin' You," it is both beautiful and so incredibly sad. But her vocally, she's still 1000% there.
Yeah, and we definitely could have and should have had more of her. The next one that you have is actually the next two that you have, I think, are ones that pretty much anybody would love to hear at least one more song from.
Yeah. I might as well lump them together because they're pretty good.
Yeah.
And they're very similar. And Jim Croce is the first one I want to talk about. And, we forget about how young he was when he passed away, because he had that voice where, this very mature, like storied storyteller, singer, songwriter kind of voice. And then you're like, oh man, he wasn't even close to 30. Like,
yeah. And to write the deep things that they did, it's, for me, it's almost like, wow, I can't imagine what else you would have brought us if you had more miles on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
And the next artist is the same way. Like the next artist has one song that I think, at least one song that resonates with like generation after generation after generation. And it's like, wow. And like maybe you were around for exactly as long as you needed to be just to have that impact.
Yeah. Yep. Harry Chapin. I've talked about Harry Chapin on the channel here before. I absolutely love Harry Chapin. I love his voice. And he, again, just died way too young. Jim Croce and Harry Chapin, car accidents, accident. And it's like, and Harry Chapin, actually, there was a posthumous album that got put out with stuff he was working on before he passed away. And still super great.
Right. The next one that you're going to talk about is an interesting one because, and I usually use this in a derogatory way, but I don't mean it with this band. The brand survived and went on. And I think they actually still tour under the name. And I don't mean any disrespect toward the later years from this band. But this is something that I never really thought about until you brought up to me the specific lineup of the band.
Yes. I'm talking about the Street Survivors era Leonard Skinner. Now, of course, Leonard Skinner was doing great Southern rock stuff before. I feel like this album was a real turning point for the band. And then we all know what happened to Leonard Skinner, right? And, because they got a new guitarist, their sound was maturing, lyrically they were maturing, and it's like, it hurts my heart.
I think, it's like a very specific thing and I have never thought about that before. Like, wow, like that. The closest thing I can think to throw this in, I know it's not the same, but is, many of us have always wondered, like, what would that third Randy Rhoads record have sounded like with Ozzy? You know what I mean? And in some ways it is some of the same because Ozzy's was definitely maturing away from what he was doing with Sabbath. And, that's the closest when you first brought this up, I was like, I never thought about that before. And I thought, no, well, I have though, because of the Ozzy thing, but I bet a lot of people have thought about that. Like, yeah, Leonard Skinner went on, but like what
would have happened?
Yeah. What different material might we have got?
The album after this would have been an absolute masterpiece.
And that's, which is, and we don't know. Like I say, like that third Ozzy record. The next one is one that you can't avoid this for several reasons. It's the whole, boy, I wish you hadn't passed away so young. A monumental amount of talent was lost, in my opinion, when this young lady passed.
Yeah, Amy Winehouse, and I was talking to you when I was putting this list together. I was trying really hard to be like, maybe I should go with someone who didn't meet a tragic end, but I couldn't put this list together without her because, like, she was very instrumental in the stuff that I was listening to at
Mm.
the time,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
like Back to Black came out and stuff. And she kind of changed my impression of current music. I was like, "Oh, there can be good stuff happening now."
Right, yeah,
Like she
yeah.
definitely flipped a switch in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
brain, and I wish we got more.
You and I were just talking about this yesterday, how being in the US, Back to Black was like the first thing all of us heard. And then I went back when I heard Frank, I was blown away, blown away.
Mhm.
And we do have like there's at least the like you said with Harry Chapin, I think you said either Jim Croce or Harry Chapin, you mentioned that there was stuff he was working on.
Harry Chapin,
Like we
yeah.
do have the Lioness
Mhm.
record, which gives you some idea of what she was going to do next, which is only more depressing,
Mhm.
you know. But yeah, I really wish we had had more Amy. It's just really, really unfortunate. And I'm always the type of person, if you watch the channel, you know this. I'm always a positive person. I'm always rooting for the underdog. So things like that like really
Yeah.
upset me when someone can't overcome their issues. So
Mhm.
I know this is like a weird topic because it's kind of a downer, but it's also like what could like think about what could have been.
Yeah.
So there's a way to put a positive spin on it. Like I said, we've done this topic on the channel before. So if you want to go check out my video on it, but the thing that matters on the channel more than anything is the interaction with you. So let us know what you think. I'm certain there's a bunch of other names that come up that you could think of that you would love to have heard more from. So by all means, drop a comment below. We would love to interact with you. And as we always say, thank you so much for watching.